Sam Abdulrahim, known in Melbourne's criminal underworld as The Punisher, has gained notoriety as one of the most feared and hunted figures in the city. At just 32, he has earned a grim reputation as Melbourne's most elusive and dangerous man, navigating a treacherous life filled with violence, jail time, and constant legal troubles. His journey has been one of relentless survival, marked by a string of close calls, criminal activities, and $1 million bounty placed on his head by his enemies. Every day for Sam is a high-stakes battle, a brutal game of survival. This video takes you inside the risky world of Sam, the Punisher Abdulrahim, a man always at war with both fate and his foes. Growing up in Melbourne's northern suburbs, an area notorious for its ties to Middle Eastern crime families and motorcycle gangs, Sam was exposed to the darker side of life from an early age. The neighborhood was a hub for gang connections, and Sam quickly found himself drawn into its dangerous web. Unlike many others who simply skirted the edges of crime, Sam was determined to seize power. With a quick temper, a love for fast cars, and a thirst for excitement, he quickly made a name for himself. His initial foray into crime was through petty thefts and small drug deals, but by his 20s, Sam was already rubbing shoulders with Melbourne's toughest biggie gangs and criminal networks. Sam's entry into Melbourne's crime scene wasn't subtle. It was defined by a series of violent confrontations. One of the most infamous was a brutal altercation outside Melbourne's Magistrates Court in 2015. In this high-profile brawl with rival kickboxer Omar Bahadi, tensions between Middle Eastern gangs in Melbourne reached a boiling point. Police intervened, and the media was quick to capture the image of a shirtless Sam being led away in handcuffs. The incident thrust him into the public eye, earning him both the attention of law enforcement and the respect of his criminal peers. This was just one chapter in a long history of violent episodes that followed Sam throughout his criminal career. At this time, Sam was known for his fiery temper and his willingness to engage in physical confrontations. While these traits earned him respect in the criminal underworld, they also made him a target. His early criminal record was filled with street brawls and minor offenses, but everything changed after a horrific car crash in October 2015. On the night of October 25th, Sam was speeding through the Melbourne suburb of Reservoir in his Ferrari 360 Spider when he lost control and collided head-on with another car. The crash killed 88-year-old great-grandmother Muriel Hoot and injured 10 others. The tragedy shocked the public, not only because of the loss of life but because of Sam's cold and indifferent reaction to the carnage. Witnesses claimed that he showed little remorse for the victims, including the death of Hoot. The media seized on this, quickly painting Sam as a villain. He faced serious charges, including culpable driving causing death. Despite the gravity of the situation, Sam didn't seem to change his ways. Instead of using the crash as a wake-up call, he continued to spiral further into criminality. Even while out on bail, he continued to rack up driving offenses, remained involved in drug activities, and was eventually arrested for possessing a significant amount of crystal meth, 138 grams. Rather than slowing him down, the crash seemed to accelerate Sam's descent into Melbourne's criminal underworld. As Sam's influence grew, so did the number of betrayals and rivalries he encountered. Early on, Sam aligned himself with several notorious biker gangs, including the Bandidos and later the Mongols. These alliances gave him protection and resources, helping him secure his place in the city's crime scene. However, these connections also brought intense rivalries and dangerous conflicts. One of the most significant relationships in Sam's rise to power was his alliance with Nabil Magni, a feared figure deeply involved in drug trafficking and extortion. Initially, Magni provided Sam with guidance and protection, helping him navigate the perilous world of organized crime. But as is often the case in the criminal underworld, tensions eventually bubbled to the surface. The final break came in 2016 after a heated dispute at Melbourne's Crown Casino, where Magni felt that Sam had failed to support him. This conflict deepened, especially after the murder of Khadija KD, or a close associate of the powerful Hammad family, who was executed in a targeted shooting at a Campbellfield car park. Rival crime figure George Morroy was later convicted for the murder, but suspicions lingered about Sam's possible involvement. Although Sam denied any role in the killing, court records showed he had been present at a meeting shortly before the execution, leading some to believe he may have played a part in luring all to the location. While Sam testified during Morroy's trial, insisting that he wasn't involved, his claims were met with skepticism. The court did not fully rule out his possible involvement, and Orr's murder marked a critical turning point in Sam's already turbulent life. As Sam's criminal activities continued to escalate, his reputation as the Punisher only grew, both as a feared enforcer and a dangerous adversary in Melbourne's volatile underworld. Sam's actions sparked a dangerous and ongoing feud with the powerful Hammad family, particularly with key figures like Hammad and Hammad and Al-Hamza. They believed Sam had betrayed their associate, Orr, and vowed to exact revenge. This feud set off a cycle of violence that would follow Sam for years, with the Hammad family launching a relentless campaign of retaliation. After Sam was released on parole in 2019 for his involvement in the deadly Ferrari crash, he found himself at the center of an escalating series of attacks orchestrated by the Hammad family and other enemies. Just days after his release, Sam's family home became the target of a drive-by shooting, marking the beginning of a long and brutal battle for survival. The attacks on Sam's family, associates, and businesses intensified with shootings, firebombings, and other violent acts aimed at anyone and anything connected to him. The message was clear. Hammad and Hammad and Al-Hamza were determined to eliminate Sam. The constant threat of violence forced him into a life of paranoia. He moved from hotel to hotel, always trying to stay one step ahead of his enemies, but despite his efforts to keep a low profile, the attacks continued. Sam's panel beating business was shot up multiple times, and his family's properties were repeatedly firebombed, demonstrating just how far his rivals were willing to go to rid themselves of him. In a desperate bid for safety, Sam returned to prison after his parole was revoked, hoping that the walls of a cell might offer some refuge. But even behind bars, he wasn't safe. As soon as he entered Loddon prison, he was ambushed by fellow inmates who attacked him with a rock, leaving him with serious injuries. It was widely believed that the attack had been orchestrated by his enemies on the outside, showing just how deeply his rivals wanted him gone. By 2020, Sam's life had spiraled into a vicious cycle of violence and retaliation, with no clear way out. He was not only marked by criminal rivals, but also closely monitored by law enforcement. Every move he made was scrutinized, and his freedom seemed more precarious with each passing day. Amid all this chaos, however, Sam found a sliver of hope in boxing. Turning to the sport provided him with a sense of focus and a chance at redemption, a path that, for the first time, didn't involve crime or violence. With his natural athletic ability and fighting instincts, Sam began training intensively, hoping that boxing could be his ticket out of a life defined by criminality. In 2019, he made the decision to pursue a professional boxing career, and his raw talent quickly earned him respect in the boxing community. He won several titles, including the Victorian State Cruiserweight Championship, a major accomplishment that hinted at a fresh start and the possibility of leaving his violent past behind. For a brief moment, it seemed like boxing might provide the escape he desperately sought. But Sam's success in the ring couldn't shield him from the dangers of his past. His social media posts, which often flaunted his victories and newfound wealth, reignited old rivalries and drew renewed attention from his enemies. His high-profile return to the spotlight also caught the eye of law enforcement, who began keeping an even closer watch on him, scrutinizing both his boxing career and his activities outside the ring. In addition to boxing, Sam found himself embroiled in a heated legal battle with the Victorian government after his parole was revoked in 2019. He filed a lawsuit against the state, claiming his imprisonment was unlawful, which generated significant media attention. Sam tried to portray himself as a victim of government overreach, hoping to shift public perception in his favor. Despite these efforts to turn his life around, Sam couldn't escape the shadows of his past. In early 2021, he was expelled from the Mongols Motorcycle Club, a serious blow that left him vulnerable to even more threats from the Hammad family and other rivals. The expulsion made it clear that even his achievements in boxing were not enough to protect him from the ever-present violence that surrounded him. Without the protection of the Mongols, Sam's status as a target skyrocketed, and the violence against him only intensified. Through Operation Ironside, a large-scale police operation aimed at dismantling organized crime networks in Australia, authorities uncovered chilling assassination plots against Sam, revealing just how deeply his enemies were invested in seeing him eliminated. The first serious attempt on Sam's life came on June 25, 2022, just after his cousin's funeral. As he drove in a procession of cars outside Faulkner Cemetery, gunmen ambushed him, opening fire and hitting him 8 times. The brazen daylight attack stunned the community and highlighted the lengths his enemies were willing to go to in order to kill him. Despite being hit multiple times in his chest, abdomen, and leg, Sam miraculously survived the attack. Police later identified two 18-year-olds as suspects, along with a 19-year-old believed to have helped plan the hit. All three were linked to Hammad and Al-Hamza's criminal faction. The attempt on Sam's life was a grim reminder that despite his boxing career and legal battles, he remained deeply entangled in a violent and dangerous underworld with no way out. Meanwhile, Al-Hamza himself managed to evade arrest, reportedly fleeing to the Middle East amid accusations of orchestrating a major drug trafficking operation. With the threat closing in, Sam took drastic measures to escape the relentless dangers of Melbourne's underworld. In late 2022, he traveled to Thailand for a high-profile boxing match in Bangkok, using the opportunity to present himself as a man trying to break free from his violent past. During his time in Thailand, he also formed an alliance with members of the Brothers for Life, a notorious crime syndicate based in Sydney. Seeking connections that might offer him protection and stability, Sam aimed to rebuild his life on an international stage. Forming an alliance with Brothers for Life was a strategic decision for Sam. With enemies actively plotting his death, he knew that aligning with a well-established crime syndicate could offer him some much-needed security from the constant threats posed by Al-Hamza and the Hammad crew. By the time Sam joined Brothers for Life, many of Melbourne's other major crime families had suffered setbacks. The El Nasher family had seen key members jailed, and the Hadara family had lost its grip on the lucrative illicit cigarette trade due to relentless attacks on the Hammad gang. This shift in the criminal landscape gave Sam an opening to seek support from Brothers for Life, who, despite facing their own challenges, still held considerable influence in Sydney's underworld. However, even abroad, Sam could not escape his past. His enemies quickly turned their focus toward his family, targeting their homes and businesses in an effort to flush him out of hiding. His nephew's fight venue, where Sam boxed under the name Punisher Jr., was firebombed just days before the event. Shortly afterward, a business linked to one of Sam's close associates was also set ablaze. The attacks kept coming. A beauty salon connected to one of his relatives in his former home in Thomastown was firebombed as well. By May 2024, the violence escalated. Two cars belonging to Sam's parents were torched outside their home, sending a clear and ominous message. Not long after, a hit squad of masked gunmen lay in wait outside his parents' house, hoping to catch Sam as he rushed to help. As he drove out, they opened fire, unleashing 17 rounds in his direction. Miraculously, Sam escaped unharmed. Another hit teen waiting near a relative's house also failed to land their mark. Today, Sam The Punisher Abdulrahim remains an elusive figure living under constant threat. His once vibrant social media presence has largely disappeared, replaced by rare, low-key updates that offer glimpses into his ongoing survival. Gone are the boastful posts. Instead, Sam has adopted a far more cautious approach as he tries to stay off the radar of both law enforcement and his relentless enemies. Rumors about his whereabouts swirl. Some believe he has left Melbourne altogether, possibly laying low elsewhere in Australia or even overseas. Others think he is simply waiting for the heat to die down, while some suspect he is strategizing, building new alliances with powerful players in the criminal world as he fights to stay one step ahead. Seeking protection in exchange for his loyalty and services, Sam's life has become a risky balancing act, constantly hanging by a thread. The $1 million bounty on his head is a harsh reminder of the enemies he has made, particularly the Hammad and Al-Hamza families who are bent on revenge. This unrelenting pursuit of vengeance has fueled a cycle of violence that has spiraled far beyond his control. From his troubled teenage years to his rise as a feared underworld figure, Sam's story is one of relentless ambition for power and respect, marked by violence, betrayal, and survival. Each chapter in his life paints a vivid picture of a man trapped by his own decisions, navigating the brutal criminal underbelly of Melbourne, where betrayal is constant and survival is a daily battle. Despite multiple assassination attempts, endless legal battles, and ongoing feuds with some of Melbourne's most powerful crime figures, Sam has managed to stay alive, showcasing his sharp instincts and iron will. But the big question remains, how long can he keep dodging death? Sam's story is a stark reflection of the brutal reality of Melbourne's underworld, a world where alliances are fragile, survival is a game of wits, and power shifts as quickly as the tide. His choices have left a permanent mark on the underground scene, where every close call and narrow escape serves as a reminder of the unforgiving world he inhabits. In this world, power is always borrowed, and enemies once made are often enemies for life.